Hey guys, this is Happy, and we're gonna be talking about Dead by Daylight, and we're gonna be talking about the killer side. And is the killer side fun and worth waiting the loading time? I would say no. I played this game for at least 6,000 hours. I started in 2016. I played Survivor and Killer, and I played both sides. I started playing both sides 50-50%, and then after a while, Killer started getting not as fun, so I played more Survivor to 60% and then 40% Killer, just because it seems like Killers are not as strong as they should be, then it seems like more than Survivors. And I don't mean they have to be super overpowered, but in my opinion, Killers should be a little more stronger than Survivors, just because the problem about it is that the wait time is so bad for the killers that by the time you get, so let's say you wait 10 minutes for a game and you're like, oh, finally I found a game. You first get in there and you're ready getting gens pop and the game's ready, almost over. You sat there for 10 minutes and you already had nothing to do. So I think killers need a little more overpower than survivors, just to make it fun. Because, like, for example, there are some loops that maybe would balance out both sides, like the T loops. If you're gonna have a T loop, don't put it next to a safe palette, because if you put a T loop, which would be a little construction that looks like a T and a L, and then you got two windows in there and a palette, and then you put it next to a safe palette, it's like at a point where the killer is not going to catch it. And if you think, oh, maybe I should drop the chase, that it will hopefully work, then the other survivors will come and just do it. So maybe some changes they could do is, because they're helping, they took the camping away, which camping was, not a bad thing, because, in general, that's part of the game. So it's slugging. But the change is fine with camping, but the slugging is a little annoying because they're going to change that too. And sometimes you have to slug to actually win. Not all the time, but in certain things, like people just say you tunnel, camp, and all that. Sometimes you can't really say that, because if you dock someone, let's say you knock someone, you hook them, and you start walking away, and then someone tries to go save, and you're like, oh, I see them, and then you knock them down, they're going to say you're tunneling and camping, or which you're really not, because you're trying to walk away from the hook. So maybe some changes to hopefully help killers be a little stronger. I'm not saying to the point where it's over, but the killers need to have a little more buff, because for survivors you have communication, and I don't mean like survival friends. Like, if you look at their icons, you could tell when they're in chase, when they're doing gens. You got so much information to know how to play your saves and all that. The killers don't really get much information from that. They see when they're hurt or in chase, but that's that thing. But for like survivors, killers, for example, let's say Trapper. He hasn't been really upgraded as much, like buff or nerf. The only thing you really should change for him, I think, will make him a little better, but not like break the whole game, is, how you pick all his traps up and then you have to go find them, and by the time you set all his traps, 2 or 3 gens are done. He should start with all his traps. Like, he should, if there's 10 traps, I think there's 10 in a game, he should start with all 10, so he could place them, so he could actually do his power, instead of not being, oh, I gotta go pick up 2, I have 2, then I gotta pick up another 2, set them all, and then when I'm done setting them up, the game's ready over. So I think that would be a good buff for this kit for Trapper. Rafe, he's supposed to be a stealth one. The build, is fine and all that and everything, but his breathing is so loud that you cannot stealth. When he's invisible, you could hear his breathing. I mean, the bell is fine and all that, but maybe reduce sound of breathing because he's supposed to be stealthy, but you could hear him breathe really heavily, but she shouldn't be. And then for like nurse, I would say there is an add-on where you blink, and if you hit a survivor, you get a normal speed as all the other killers for a couple seconds. I think that should just be her base kit, where the nerf would be you take away one of her blinks, but if she gets a good hit, she gets a speed boost for 60 seconds. That would just be a little better for nurse and put a little pressure, because we want to put pressure more on the survivors so it could have a little chance instead of having gens pop so early, but not too. Now here's the one that they should also add, which they would have to figure out how to do it the right way. Michael Myers. When you stalk a people, let's say you want like a tombstone and all that, and you drain the person, eventually you drain every survivor and the game is still going, and basically your power become useless. You'll never be in tier 3 again, and you'll never get your power because all the survivors will be drained. So basically what they should do for his base kit, yes, it'll be a little harder for him to get this, but like, so he could get in tier 3 and it'll disappear. But once the survivor is fully drained and you can't not drain his if you can't drain any more stock from the survivor, that survivor becomes exposed for the rest of the game. So it'll be like a dangerous effect. It won't be like Tombstone where that you could just kill them. It'd just be exposed, and you'll have to be very careful and get out. So that'll make him a little more stronger, because basically once you use all your stock, you cannot be able to do anything because your ability's gone. So that'd be a good buff for Michael Myers. For I say Hag, basically I think she's fine. The only thing I would say she would need is for her teleport. She could teleport to any of her traps, not in a certain amount of range where it's limited. She could use any range and then it would be good to go. I think she would be good to go. That'd be a nice little buff for her, make her a little stronger. Just being able to teleport to any trap instead of having a range limit. Doctor. His terror radius. Honestly, I think he's fine. The only little buff I would make for him for people to play is if they add his terror radius a little longer, so his shock would go a little further, because his shock doesn't go that far and it's kind of hard to hit survivors. So I think his shock should go a little more. That would be the only change for him. And then I think the Camelot is kind of fine for now. Huntress is fine, I think. Freddy, I think, is fine. Pig. What they should do for Pig is, so her bear traps, because they wanted her to be an end-game killer. So her bear traps, when she puts them on you, you cannot leave the exit gate at the end game. So when the end game happens, you have to get the bear trap off your head. If you try to run out with the exit, the thing will go off and you just die. Because what they had in the beginning is if you went near the exit gate, the thing would go off and kill you. But this one is basically, if you run out, not if you stand near the exit gate with it on, it won't kill you. But if you run out that exit gate with that bear trap on, you will not survive. You will get sacrificed instead. I think that would be a good buff for her. And then the rest of her, good. And then Spirit, I would say maybe give another way, give a sound visual for her. Because, I mean, they already could hear her with the glass, so she's not really stealthy. I like how she is played where you could see, like, grass move and all that. And you could hear the survivor sometime, and then you could hit them. But I think maybe they should have a better visual for people if they can't hear. So that would just, it would be not just a buff, it would just help people if they can't hear. they give a little visual, and then maybe make sounds like breathing a little heavier for the people that are not really, they really can't see, but they have really good hearing. I think those two would just be a good thing for players to, so it won't just be players be like, oh, I don't want to play Spirit because I can't obviously see or I can't hear. I think that would be a good change, like how they have the heartbeat thing for the survivors and they have color blindness on it, so just in case if someone's colorblind. I love those kind of add-ons, so I think Spirit should just have a visual and sound thing for that, and she would be good to go. And then I think the rest of the killers would be cool. I think for oh no, the most important thing is to buff the twins. You gotta give a hat to Victor. Victor needs a cosmetic. Give him a cosmetic, and boom, he is perfect. But overall, I would say the rest of the killers are pretty good. But I would find other ways besides buffing the killers to make the killers a little stronger and more players want to play killer. Because right now, if you don't get people wanting to play killer, it'll be hard to find matches. Because right now we got a lot of survivors, but we don't have a lot of killers. So we want to try to get that equaled out so we don't have to wait in long queue. But overall, I think a lot of the killers are good, but some of them need buffs, and the killer side needs to be a little more stronger, in my opinion, because I mean, even when I play Survivor, I kind of want the killers to be a little stronger, so I want to feel the fear, because it's supposed to be a horror game, and right now, it feels like the survivors just bully the killers than anything. And before, some people may ask, what do I think about Blight? Blight is fine. The way he is, strong killer. But the few I list needs to be changed. Oh, I want to mention last two of them. Legion. The only change for Legion is when you cancel her ability or use her ability, it charges up faster so you could use it again, because you don't really use her ability a lot because it takes a while to charge. That would be the only change for Legion. And then for Ghostface, the same change for Michael Myers. They both would have the same exposed thing if they run out of stock. But those are the only changes I would make, and then I really hope to see a lot more changes for killers, and hopefully we could get make killer more fun, less stressful, because right now killer just doesn't seem fun, and it makes people lean towards Survivor. So I hope to see some of the changes, maybe for those buffs for the killers or new ways for the killers to be a little more stronger. But until next time, peace out.